we are observing Purushotam VRATA when this extra month was very much depressed because everyone was neglecting him. Everyone were neglecting him or her. Yes, it is her. Then she went to Narayan, took shelter, and then Narayan, out of compassion, took her to Krishna in Golok Vrindavan and explained everything to Krishna. Then Shri Krishna's heart melted and he spoke thus. Aham etairyata loke pratitah purushottamah tathayam api lokeshu pratitah purushottamah asmai samarpitah sarve ye gunamayi samstitah mat sadrisham upagamya masanamadipo bhavet jagat pujyo jagat bandhyo masayam tu bhavishyati sarve masah sakamash chanishkamaya maya krita akamah sarva kamavayo dhima samprapujayet karmani bhasma sat kritva mam evaishyati asankshayam kadachin mama bhaktanam aparadeti ganyate Purushottama bhaktanam na parada kadachana. Ya etasmin mahamura japa dan adi varjitaha sat karma snan rohita devatirtha dvija dvishah. Jayante durbaga dushtah para bhagyo pajivana na kadachit sukham teshan swapna pishasha shringavat. Yenaham archito bhaktyam purushottame dhan putra sukham bhunktva paschat golokavasa bhak. He Ramapati, Narayan, just as I am celebrated in this world by the name Purushottam, similarly, this Adimas too will be renowned in the world by the name Purushottam. Now I offer all my qualities to this month. Becoming like me, from today onwards, this Adimas is the monarch of all the other months and is the most worshipable and most adored in the world. All other months are sakama, that is, they will grant worldly desires. This month, however, is nishkama. Those who worship this month, either without any desires or with all types of desires, will have all their karmas burned. Then they will achieve me. My bhaktas sometimes commit offenses, but in this Purushottam month, they will be protected from committing any offense. In this Adimas, those greatly foolish persons who neglect to perform auspicious activities, such as japa, giving in charity, visiting and bathing at the holy places, and who are envious of the dvijas, are deemed wicked, unfortunate, and living at the cost of others. Thus, they will not attain a scent of happiness even in their dreams. Conversely, those who are filled with bhakti will take advantage of this Purushottam month to perform archan to me. After enjoying worldly happiness such as wealth, sons, and so on, they will eventually attain a residence in Goloka. Our Gurudev told that those who will worship this month, their offenses from before which we committed, they will also be destroyed, removed, rectified. This is special grace of this month. And yesterday we started reading from Krishna book of Srila Sai Maharaj, summary of 10th canto and also summary of these Brahma's prayers. And if I, means Brahma telling, if I cannot estimate the spiritual potency of your childlike body, then what can I understand about your transcendental pastimes? Yesterday I explained, first there is Nam, transcendental name. Then, finer than that is his form. They are not different, both transcendental, but finer. That realization will come after. And finer than that are the qualities of Krishna, transcendental qualities, and finer than that are the associates, and finest is the lila. So we cannot start with the lila. Then we may misunderstand, thinking it is like something worldly. Like Brahma also could not understand. He thought he is ordinary cowherd boy. So now he's telling, even I could not understand your form, transcendental form. What to speak of lila? Because that is finer. Therefore, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, anyone who can understand a little of the transcendental pastimes, appearance and disappearance of the Lord becomes immediately eligible to enter into the kingdom of God after quitting the material body. That is Janma Karma Chame Dibyam Jovati Tattvata, that verse. One who knows the truth about my appearance and my activities, he will not take another birth. Means he has devotion. Without devotion, he cannot know. This statement is also confirmed in the Vedas, and it is stated simply by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can overcome the chain of repeated birth and death. I therefore recommend that people should not try to understand you by their speculative knowledge. Here Vedas means 4 Vedas, and the philosophical aspect of the Vedas are the Upanishads. So there this is mentioned, that by worshipping Supreme Lord one can be liberated. The best process of understanding you is to submissively give up the speculative process and try to hear about you, either from yourself, as you have given statements in the Bhagavad Gita and many similar Vedic literatures, or from a realized devotee who has taken shelter at your lotus feet. One has to hear from a devotee without speculation. Only we have to hear with submission, with faith, and accept what he is speaking without any our mental imagination or interpretation. One does not even need to change his worldly position, sthanestitam, this verse. He simply has to hear your message, whatever your situation, it doesn't matter, only you have to hear Harikatha. Although you are not understandable by the material senses, simply by hearing about you, one can gradually conquer the nescience of misunderstanding. By your own grace only, you become revealed to a devotee. You are unconquerable by any other means. Speculative knowledge without any trace of devotional service is simply a useless waste of time in the search for you. Devotional service is so important that even a little attempt can raise one to the highest perfectional platform. One should not, therefore, neglect this auspicious process of devotional service and take to the speculative method. By the speculative method, one may gain partial knowledge of your cosmic manifestation, but it is not possible to understand you, the origin of everything. The attempt of persons who are interested only in speculative knowledge is simply wasted labor, like the labor of a person who attempts to gain something by beating the empty husk of a rice paddy. A little quantity of paddy can be husked by the grinding wheel, and one can gain some grains of rice. But if the skin of the paddy is already beaten by the grinding wheel, there is no further gain in beating the husk. It is simply useless labor. We cannot attain other than by devotional service. So any other process, we ultimately will be frustrated. We cannot gain what we want, absolute bliss, supreme Lord. My dear Lord, there are many instances in the history of human society where a person, after failing to achieve the transcendental platform by other processes, engaged himself in devotional service with his body, mind and words, and thus attained the highest perfectional state of entering into your abode. The process of understanding you by speculation or mystic meditation are all useless without devotional service. One should therefore engage himself in your devotional service, even in his worldly activities, and one should always keep himself near you by the process of hearing and chanting your transcendental glories. Simply by being attached to hearing and chanting your glories, one can attain the highest perfectional stage and enter into your kingdom. If a person, therefore, always keeps in touch with you by hearing and chanting your glories and offers the results of his work for your satisfaction only, he very easily and happily attains entrance into your supreme abode. As long as we are in this world, we have to maintain our body for the sake of serving Krishna. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, we may accept Varna, Ashram, Dharma for the sake of maintenance. It will be more easy to get. And offering fruits means we will use everything for the service of Krishna, this body and everything, and hear and chant, then that is perfection of human life. Then ultimately you can get entrance into his supreme abode. You are realizable by persons who have cleansed their hearts of all contamination. This cleansing of the heart is made possible by chanting and hearing the glories of your Lordship. I found yesterday one message because it was related for some topic. Our Parang Gurudev very nicely explained. It is based on one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam spoken by Narad Goswami to Vyasadeva when he told him that you will have to write the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will have to sing the glories of Supreme Lord for his satisfaction, then you can be purified, you can be happy. So based on this verse, our Parang Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhava Goswami Maharaj, he wrote, only those who chant the holy name, avoiding the 10 offenses, are able to attain the 5th goal of life, pure love for Krishna. The Lord of our lives, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, appeared on this earth to spread this pure name of Krishna. He taught that there is no other method for the ultimate benefit of the living entity than chanting the holy name of Krishna. By performing pranayama and other yogic processes, one can temporarily suppress one's desires, but there is very little chance of getting permanent benefit. Following yogic processes may even cause a hindrance in the practice of developing pure love of Godhead. Therefore, if those whose minds are unsteady, who have not controlled the senses, and whose hearts are filled with desire for sense objects, if they hear about the scriptures from the mouths of pure devotees and chant the holy name without duplicity, then they will gradually be able to taste the nectar of Sri Bhagavan's name. So higher taste we must get. And this is possible in this way. And by this, they will become indifferent to the non-eternal sense objects, and their unsteadiness of mind and desire for sense enjoyment will cease. So by getting higher taste in this way, one can be freed from all other desires, can clean his heart, and that will make him peaceful and blissful, otherwise always disturbed. So here Brahma says, you are realizable by persons who have cleansed their hearts of all contamination. This cleansing of the heart is made possible by chanting and hearing the glories of your Lordship. The Lord is all-pervading. As it is stated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, everything is sustained by me, but at the same time I am not in everything. Because that is Achintya Beda Beda, you know already about this. Since the Lord is all-pervading, there is nothing existing without His knowledge. The all-pervasive nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never be within the limited knowledge of a living entity. Therefore, a person who has attained steadiness of the mind by fixing the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord is able to understand the Supreme Lord to some extent, because He is unlimited. But they will be able to understand clearly without any Mayic perversion. So they know the truth, absolute truth, but not fully because He is unlimited. But we should not think that such devotees, they have any lacking, they have any material faults, material lacking or wants and like this. No. Though they may express, I don't know, and they may express humbleness, but we should not mistake that as some material insufficiency. That is only in relation to unlimited Supreme Lord, that humbleness. It is the business of the mind to wander over varied subject matter for sense gratification. Therefore, only a person who engages the senses always in the service of the Lord can control the mind and be fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Yesterday I spoke about the definition of devotion given by Narad Goswami in Narad Pancharatra, Sarvopadivi nirmuktam tat paratena nirmalam. One has to be liberated from all worldly egos, gross and subtle. I am Brahmin, I am Kshatriya, I am man, woman, old, all this, all based on gross and subtle body. And also one has to realize his eternal relation with Krishna. That is Sambandha Gyan. Yesterday this question was here. Sambandha Gyan means your knowledge, means knowledge of your relation with Krishna. I am Tat Paratana Nirmalam. I belong to Him. I am of Him. I am His potency. I am His eternal servant. That is our eternal relation. When this is awakened, then one can actually engage in the service of Krishna for his satisfaction. Otherwise, we may do devotional forums externally, chanting and these things, but for what purpose? For some material benefit. So that will not be devotion. Devotion means you are devoted to Krishna, means you want his satisfaction. That is possible only when you understand that you are related to him as his eternal servant. So when this is in place, these two conditions, I am not of this world, I belong to Krishna, then when you engage all the senses for the service of Krishna, who is the master of all the senses, that is called bhakti. Otherwise it is not bhakti. If it is not for Krishna's satisfaction, his transcendental senses, it cannot be called as bhakti. So, therefore, only a person who engages the senses always in the service of the Lord can control the mind and be fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Mind is Mayic. We are always under his influence. So Krishna says in Gita, one who will surrender to me, he can conquer. Arjuna said, I think it is impossible to control the mind, to get control over mind. Krishna said, yes, it is not easy, but it is not impossible. If you repeatedly practice detachment, means vairagya. Vairagya means two meanings. One is rag, attachment to Krishna. Another is detachment from this world. So when one will repeatedly practice this, then gradually one can conquer his mind by this devotional service. This concentration of the mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord is called samadhi. Until one reaches the stage of samadhi or trance, he cannot understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We may hear, we may believe, but actually how it is, we have to realize in samadhi, the transcendental vision. Like Vyasadeva we read, he engaged himself in Bhakti Yoga as instructed by Narad Goswami. Then when his mind was fully pure and he entered into that trance, then he saw, directly saw Krishna, Jiva and Maya. Jiva is under Maya, although not material, it's a conscious being. But because of being averse to Krishna, Maya enveloped him and now he thinks he's Maya, he's matter. And Krishna is not under control of Maya. Maya is in the shelter of Krishna. And the only way how Jiva can be rescued from this is by devotion to Krishna. So this thing we have to realize, that this is Sambandha Gyan, about our relation with Krishna, about Maya's relation with Krishna. This is Sambandha Gyan, knowledge of relation. Then Abhidheya. Abhidheya is this, devotion, practice, devotional service. Then ultimate goal is prayojana, love of Godhead, in his transcendental abode, in Lila, to lovingly serve Krishna eternally. That is ultimate goal. So one who realizes this, he can serve as guru and he can impart this knowledge to other aspirants, those who are surrendered souls, and can engage them. There may be some philosophers or scientists who can study the cosmic nature from atom to atom. They may be so advanced that they can count the atomic composition of the cosmic atmosphere, or all the planets and stars in the sky, or even the shining molecular parts of the sun or other stars and luminaries in the sky. But it is not possible to count the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they are unlimited. These particles they are still measurable, you can count, although it's very vast, but still you can, but no one can count Krishna's qualities, unlimited. As described in the beginning of Vedanta Sutra, the Supreme Person is the origin of all qualities. Janma Dhyasya Yata. This is second sutra. First is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire about absolute truth. Who is absolute truth? Janmadi Asya Yata. Janmadi Asya Yata. From him, all this creation, maintenance, and destruction is coming. He is the origin of everything. He is generally called Nirguna. Nirguna means without qualities. Guna means quality and Nir means without. But impersonalists interpret this word Nirguna as having no quality. Because they are unable to estimate the qualities of the Lord in transcendental realization, they conclude that the Supreme Lord has no qualities. But that is actually not the position. The real position is that he is the original source of all qualities. All qualities are emanating constantly from him. How, therefore, can a limited person count the qualities of the Lord? One may estimate the qualities of the Lord for one moment, but the next moment the qualities are increased. So it is not possible to make an estimation of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. He is therefore called Nirguna. His qualities cannot be estimated. You cannot measure them. Never you can catch fully. So that is the meaning of Nirguna, and also not these material qualities in his Swarup. And this is same for his personal associates. Their qualities are also unlimited and always increasing. Never you can say, now I know everything about Dhruva, Prahlad, Ambarish, or any other pure devotee. You cannot say, I finished his qualities. No, not possible. One should not uselessly labor in mental speculation to estimate the Lord's qualities. There is no need of adopting the speculative method or exercising the body to attain mystic yoga perfection. That is that Ashtanga yoga mentioned before, here also by Brahma and Parangurudev and Narad Goswami. First, some ethical principles, yama niyama, then asana, sitting postures, pranayama, then withdrawal of the senses, pratyahara, then dharana, to concentration, then dhyana, means meditation, and ultimately samadhi. If in samadhi you then submit to Krishna, then you can advance from there. But if not, then you will go down. Impersonal realization will not take you to Krishna's abode. So that will take you down. But if you have this fortune of accepting Krishna's lotus feet, his service, then you can advance from there. But that is more difficult process, as explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his book Prem Pradip. It is more easy to directly engage in devotional service, engaging all the senses in the service of deity, in hearing Harikatha, taking prasad, all this. Then directly you will engage immediately in the service of Krishna and getting higher taste and advancing in devotion directly. One should simply understand that the distress and happiness of this body are predestined. Means according to our previous karma. There is no need to try to avoid the distress of this bodily existence or to attempt to achieve happiness by different types of exercises. The best course is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead with body, mind, and words, and always be engaged in His service. This transcendental labor is fruitful, but other attempts to understand the absolute truth are never successful. Therefore, an intelligent man does not try to understand the Supreme Person, absolute truth, by speculative or mystic power. Rather, he engages in devotional service and depends on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knows that whatever may happen to the body is due to his past fruitive activities. If one lives such a simple life in devotional service, then automatically he can inherit the transcendental abode of the Lord. That is that verse, Tattenu kampam susamikshamanam. To always see the grace of Supreme Lord in all circumstances and not to blame anyone because we are reaping the fruits of our own past actions, and they're given by Krishna without any mistake, and they are for our good, and engaging all senses, mind, and speech for the service of Krishna, then automatically you inherit the kingdom of God, abode of the Lord. Actually, every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and the Son of the Godhead. Each has a natural right, each has the natural right to inherit and share the transcendental pleasures of the Lord, but due to the contact of matter, conditioned living entities have been practically disinherited. If one adopts the simple method of engaging himself in devotional service, automatically he becomes eligible to become freed from the material contamination and elevated to the transcendental position of associating with the Supreme Lord. Lord Brahma presented himself to Lord Krishna as the most presumptuous living creature because he wanted to examine the wonder of his, means Krishna's, personal power. He stole the boys and calves of the Lord in order to see how the Lord would recover them. After his maneuver, Lord Brahma admitted that his attempt was most presumptuous, for he was attempting to test his energy before the person of original energy. All power, what we have, it is coming from Krishna. If he withdraws, we cannot do anything. Coming to his senses, Lord Brahma saw that although he was a very powerful living creature in the estimation of all other living creatures within this material world, in comparison to the power and energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his power was nothing. The scientists of the material world have discovered wonders such as atomic weapons, and when tested in a city or insignificant place on this planet, such powerful weapons create so-called havoc. But if the atomic weapons are tested on the sun, what is their significance? They are insignificant there. Similarly, Brahma stealing the calves and boys from Sri Krishna may be a wonderful display of mystic power. But when Sri Krishna exhibited his expansive power in so many calves and boys and maintained them without effort, Brahma could understand that his own power was insignificant. That is why whoever will have practical contact with Krishna, he cannot but be humbler than a blade of grass. Cannot have any false pride. Impossible. If I have false pride, means I did not come in contact with Krishna. Brahma addressed Lord Krishna in a practical way. Brahma addressed Lord Krishna as Achyuta, because the Lord is never forgetful of a little service rendered by his devotee. He is so kind and affectionate towards his devotees that a little service by them is accepted by him as a great deal. Our Gurudev explained, because he is not lacking anything. In this world, people are lacking and they want their demands fulfilled. And then they become angry and complain and like this. But Krishna has nothing to gain. So he's satisfied with anything, with very little, and fully satisfied with any service. And fully gracious. Brahma has certainly rendered much service to the Lord. As the Supreme Personality in charge of this particular universe, he is without a doubt a faithful servant of Krishna, therefore he could appease Krishna. He asked that the Lord understand him as a subordinate servant whose little mistake and impudence might be excused. He admitted that he was puffed up by his powerful position as Lord Brahma. Because he is the qualitative incarnation of the mode of passion within this material world, this was natural for him, and therefore he committed the mistake. But after all, Lord Krishna would kindly take compassion upon his subordinate and excuse him for his gross mistake. Lord Brahma realized his actual position. He is certainly the supreme teacher of this universe, in charge of the production of material nature consisting of complete material elements, false ego, sky, air, fire, water, and earth. Sky is ether also, another word. Such a universe may be gigantic, but it can be measured, just as we measure our body as 7 cubits. Generally, everyone's personal bodily measurement is calculated to be 7 cubits of his hand. This particular universe may appear as very gigantic body, but it is nothing but the measurement of 7 cubits for Lord Brahma. Aside from this universe, there are unlimited other universes, which are outside the jurisdiction of this particular Lord Brahma. Just as innumerable atomic infinitesimal fragments pass through the holes of a screened window, so millions and trillions of universes, means unlimited actually, pass through the holes of a screened window. No, the millions and trillions of universes in their seedling form are coming out from the bodily pores of Mahavishnu. And that Mahavishnu is but a part of the plenary expansion of Krishna. Plenary expansion of Krishna is Shankarshan, Baladev. Then Shankarshan, then expansion of Shankarshan is Mahavishnu. Under these circumstances, although Lord Brahma is the supreme creature within this universe, what is his importance in the presence of Lord Krishna? Lord Brahma therefore compared himself to a little child within the womb of his mother. If the child within the womb plays with his hands and legs, and while playing touches the body of the mother, is the mother offended with the child? Of course she isn't. Similarly, Lord Brahma may be a very great personality, and yet not only Brahma, but everything that be is existing within the womb of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's energy is all pervading. There is no place in the creation where it is not acting. Everything is existing within the energy of the Lord. So, the Brahma of this universe, or the Brahmas of the many other millions and trillions of universes, are existing within the energy of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is considered to be the mother, and everything existing within the womb of the mother is considered to be the child. And the good mother is never offended with the child, even if he touches the body of the mother by kicking his legs. Tomorrow we will